There was a time when roguelikes put next to no effort into explaining the replayability that we've come to love from the genre. Heck, Rogue itself barely had any story. You sought to acquire this amulet at the bottom of a dungeon and get back out again. Yeah, there were bodies, sure, but not enough to account for the dozens, if not hundreds, of failed runs that we had. Crying Suns has embraced the wonderful science fiction trope that I first saw with Everspace, where you awaken and you don't remember anything. Is the journey towards the Emperor and Enlightenment worth it? Let's find out. Crying Suns features a lot of modern gameplay elements. It has a map that you traverse from left to right, selecting zones like FTL or Everspace like I mentioned before. It has boss fights at the end of each sector, and it has turn-based combat based around weapon cooldowns and officer skills. So why the hell does it feel so old? And for the record, I mean that in a good way. It's a game that came out recently, but it's nostalgic. Crying Sun scratches itches I didn't know that I still had from days when I learned to play computer games on my dad's Amiga. Starting a run reminds me of Star Command. You pick your officers, you pick your battleship, and you head into the procedurally generated unknown. Exploring the local systems on your way through any given sector, you're going to get attacked. It's just going to happen. Now, whether it's by scrappers or religious zealots, it's going to happen. It's a given. I think the turn-based ship combat is a ton of fun. It certainly gets better as more squadrons and ship weapons become available to you. I might have liked for the officers to have a more active role, like having active skills like in StarCraft or something, but they're helping you reload and buffing you with passive bonuses is still pretty good. One thing I really enjoyed was the away missions. Anytime you need something done off the ship, you're going to delegate to your commandos and or one of your officers. The system feels just right. You don't head down to the planet and engage in strategic battles. Why would you? You're an admiral. Instead, you tensely stand on the bridge, hands clasped behind your back, and listen to reports come in from your team as they march along, engaging with skill checks and enemies and whatever task you've set before them. There's also an added layer of strategy/risk management in that there's usually a point about halfway where you're allowed to extract your team. And I can tell you, when you order your battered away team to press on and they reach the final extraction with 5 of their original 10, 4 of which are wounded, you ask yourself, was it worth it? These missions, both in space and planetside, are more or less necessary to some extent, as, trust me, attempting to beeline/speed run your way to each sector's endpoint will see you adrift and out of fuel, as well as potentially underarmed and underprepared for the sector's inevitable boss fight. You don't really want to skip these missions anyway. Not only are they amazing, they also provide you with the info you need to piece together what's going on lore-wise. They're very good at enticing you to take a chance on a detour or commando deployment. Now, I'm the type of guy that wants to see the cards that beat him when he folds in poker, and I think that's holding me back a lot in this game. I want to do all the side content, and often that isn't feasible. You need to pick your battles, literally. Perhaps one complaint is the encounters. They don't always impress upon you the gravity of the stakes. I lost a good bit of scrap on a bad trade that I didn't even really realize was supposed to be a gamble. Thematically, it makes perfect sense, but I could definitely see it being frustrating for newer players starting out. I won't go too in-depth, but the choice of battleship at the start of each run is where the replayability really kicks in. Laguna Queen has an amazing guide that covers battleship choice and pretty much anything else you'd need. It's really an amazing guide. I'll add a link to it down in the description. It definitely sounds like your type of game. I would say this is easily worth the $25 asking price, and certainly if it's discounted, when it pretty much goes on sale every time Steam has a sale. It's that time that I ask you, if you're new, maybe consider subscribing. I aim to upload reviews and sci-fi content weekly, and it really helps out the channel. Until next time, I've been Septimus with the Grim Alliance, and you've been an amazing audience.